Most of the stuff you guys ask is like stupid huge, or does some sort of transformation or magic thing that we can't make happen. So we try to find a happy medium and do the most far out requests that we possibly can. A lot of the things that we made in the last 2 seasons, we said absolutely not seasons before. For instance, Mihawk, we were like, no, we're not making Mihawk. This is ridiculous. We can't, the blade's great, but the guard's longer than the blade. We can't, well, we did it. We said we wouldn't do anything with Berserk. We did it. There's been plenty of other things that I've said no to that I can't talk about because they haven't aired yet. Right now we have 4 or 5 episodes in the queue. We'll be starting filming on yet another season next week. So we do 6 episodes at a time. We get about 10 days to do them. And one of the 10 days is just the demo and beauty shot day. So we really only have 9 build days, and only 7 of them are on camera. So we have a weekend in the middle where the crew isn't allowed to work because of contracts and whatnot. So we're just, play catch up over the weekend if we need that time, catch up, and then we leave for the film crew like enough to. We don't want to make big jumps and then everybody go, how'd they do that? Every once in a while we have to. Sorry, there are some processes, but a lot of the processes that get cut out aren't our fault too. A lot of the processes are just in the editing. Like for instance, anybody watch the Assassin's Creed one that we just put out, the cane sword? There's a couple things that you didn't get to see, like how we put the hole in the cane to make the sword fit. We filmed that, but it didn't make it to the final cut. How we did do that is we drilled a center hole and then we used a blade that was a similar size and shape, got it red hot, burnt that wood in so it fit, and then we waxed the inside. Anyway, that's just one of the examples on time. So I guess we're ready to go. It's 4:30 exactly. I'm going to go ahead and do a couple brief, how we both got into this, area of work, and how we both came to be on Man-Arms. So I'll let Ilya start.
Oh, hello. Everybody hears me? Yep, excellent. All right, well, I got into metalwork because in Russian middle school we had shop class. They show us how to do lathing, grinding, so on and so forth. I got involved with the medieval reenactment group back in Russia when I moved to the United States, and in 2003 got involved with the American medieval reenactment group. Then I needed to go to graduate school, went to our good old American University, somewhere around that direction. After that, when you're in graduate school, you need a job that provides you with your own schedule. So I asked Kerry Stagmer, whom I already did a demo before at one of his hammer-ins, whether I can use his shop to make armor. And once you have armor customers, they don't leave because armor takes a long time to make. And I essentially stayed there until the Man-at-Arms opportunity came about. Well, the Man-at-Arms opportunity came about because Tony Swatton was getting too busy with his other projects and needed to leave the show for some time. So here we are.
Can we get the house lights up just a little? Yeah. Just a little bit. I don't mind the mood, it's kind of fun, but kind of want to see something. There you go, that's good, okay. Thank you.
I can actually see people's faces, nice. Okay, you're
done that quick?
Yeah, I'm done that quick this time.
Crap, you guys are lucky.
I practiced in front of the mirror at home.
So, one of the most frequently asked questions people ask is, how did you become a blacksmith? How did you get into this? For me, it was kind of a mistake, more or less. I was studying to be an engineer through high school and early in college, and in high school, before I even got my driver's license, I needed a job. I was 15. And my brother, Kerry, you guys watch the show, he's the older guy who does a lot. Anyway, he owned the business, bought a knife and sword, and it was a very basic business back then, made very elementary swords and armor. And because of that, he always had rusty armor laying around. So I just basically, for the first year that I worked there, when I was 15 to 16, wire-wheeled rusty armor. By the time I was done cleaning up the pile, I'd have to start back over and do that, and sweep floors, stuff like that. And I kind of got stuck in it. I loved it. I took every art class that I could in high school, every tech ed, anything that, clay, anything you could do artistically or, with your hands, I did. So it just kind of fell into that. I loved it. It's hard working with your brother. Anybody who has siblings, I mean, me and my brother, we get along. We're very different. The age gap makes some things easier, makes some things a lot harder. In the beginning of the business, when I first started with him, he was very historically based in what he wanted to make. And I always wanted to make the far out, wacky fantasy stuff. And now all of a sudden that's completely switched. Like I don't really have a lot of, I'm talking our basic products, not Man-at-Arms. I have more of a historical interest. And he has more of the fantasy because it's easier to sell fantasy stuff, believe it or not. We sell primarily to the Renaissance festivals. And I'm blabbering more than he did now, so I feel bad. But basically, that's how I got started in that. And, you know, it's been a long ride. It's my 17th year doing this. I'm pretty young to say that I've been making swords for 17 years, so I'm kind of happy about that. Have a lot of experience. I grind 90% of the blades that come out of All Right sword, maybe a higher percent. Ilya does most of our forging these days, Damascus swords, stuff like that. But he also is now grinding to help me a little bit. Demand is insane for even non-Man-at-Arms related stuff. He's worried that I'm going to blow an elbow out or something one day, and I probably will. I don't really have a younger brother to take my spot, and I don't have kids yet, so I don't know what we're going to do when my elbows go, but you guys keep requesting the giant thing, so I think you want my elbows to go. Yeah, that's a brief intro. Anybody have any related questions to how we got into it or anything like that? I see somebody raising a hand, or is that just like a weapon? Or roses? I see roses. Okay. Love you too.
All right.
Hey, go ahead.
How are you guys approached? Like, I know there was like a series before you guys, but like, was there like, did you guys get a request in or something to be on the show, or they approached you?
That's kind of a two-part answer. Tony Swatton was the original host. His shop is in LA, Sword and Stone. I've known Tony now since 2006. I met him at a pirate convention in New Orleans. I used to do a lot of pirate reenacting. And,
around the shop, we call it the Pirate Pride Parade.
Yeah, Pirate, whatever. So I met him in New Orleans, thought it was really cool. He made the Blade sword from the movie Blade, and he made, Jack Sparrow's sword and stuff like that. So I was like, wow, Tony Swatton, wow. So we became friends really quick. One of his former employees, named Natasha, I met her, and we kind of clicked. And I live here on the East Coast, she lives in LA, so I planned a trip to go out and spend some time with her. And I touched base with Tony and said, hey, we're filming season 4 of Man-at-Arms. I could really use a hand, because it really was him. He was the only real talent on that show, and then he had some really low-level help. Unlike our shop where we have 6 people or more that all can pretty much step in and do anything. So he was always really grateful to have help. So I sat in on season 4. The meteorite sword, I was there for that. I cut up the meteorite. It took me 8 hours just to cut that freaking meteorite in little slivers, no lie. I was there for Leona's sword, which was a favorite of mine. I play League of Legends. Any other League of Legends players?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So that's why we do a lot of League of Legends, because me and Carrie both play a lot of League of Legends. And we have a good rapport with Riot, so they put the episodes in the game and stuff for us, even for a couple hours is cool with them. So, I love it. They're cool, so we try to work with them as possible. Anyway, so I did season 4. Really liked it. I enjoyed being on camera. I didn't get a lot of screen time, which was okay, but it's like, hey, this is really cool. Had fun out in LA, and then I came back here, and then Tony kind of reached out and said, hey, I'm not doing the show anymore. And we were like, oh, really? Why not? Blah, blah, blah. And that was the last we heard of it. A couple of months go by. We find out that the Man-at-Arms producers are now fishing to every sword shop in the country, like begging somebody to take over this show. And everybody who thought they could do it, they got in contract talks, like, hey, do it. And they're like, well, wait a minute, what do you want us to make again? And we're like, things like the Buster sword. And they're like, oh, yeah, no, we can't do it. So literally, each person they asked, and this is no lie, said, really the only guys that can do it is ball, knife, and sword. They're only shop crazy enough to try this stuff with a talented team that can do it and really work that fast. Because it's not can a sword maker make these things. Almost any talented sword maker can make these creations. But can they make 6 of them in 7 or 8 days? There's not too many people. So it just naturally fell into in our hands. Brent Leidick, who was our main producer, he called me and said, hey, we'd really like you guys to do this. And we said, okay, you know, we negotiated things out, and like next thing we knew, they sent a film crew out, and that's how we're doing this.
Well, in terms of the timeline, for example, Peter Lyon designed all the source for Lord of the Rings series and Hobbit, right? It takes him a long time. He owns his shop, but it takes him a long time to design one sword. Now, think about those 7-10 days when you're interrupted what you're doing for 10 minutes of filming, there's 20 minutes of camera setup, and you cannot do any forging when they're setting up the camera. So there's actually half of the time only spent working, because you have to get the lighting, you have to get the audio, you have to get the camera angles, then the camera guy complains that the lens is wrong, and then the camera is...
You do some crazy great forging. Hey, can you guys do that again? We didn't get the shot we want. No.
Oh, and it's annoying. I mean, we started doing that. I started lying to the camera guy. Like, well, this is the one-time thing. If you either got it or you don't. I lie to them now because, you know, you got to keep them in check. Otherwise, they, you know,
Like, you guys got to step up your game, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, well, whatever. I suppose you came here to see some of the things we made and hear us talk about it, right? More or less, right? Yeah, okay. All right, I got it.
I do want to add before he breaks out a bunch of stuff. With the film crew that we work with, we've been approached to do many different shows for, you know, Nat Geo and Discovery and all that. And most of the producers and most of the production companies out there are just, you know, they're all about the drama. They all want, you know, Orange County Choppers. They all want me and Carrie to yell at each other on camera and that kind of stuff. We're really blessed to work with a good production company. They do stuff, Defy Media. They do, have you ever seen Honest Trailers, anybody? I love Honest Trailers. They do Honest Trailers. They do Smosh Games. What else do they do? Whatever. Screen Junkies. Movie Fights. Anybody watch all that stuff? So, same guys. A lot of the guys that you see on the camera doing that stuff are actually our producers. So we really lucked out and found the right company. Don't get me wrong. There's always going to be headaches. It's LA. I don't want to offend anybody who's from LA, but I go out there a lot. You run into some egos and people that are stuck in their ways, and we work with different producers almost every other season. So it's like you get used to one, and then it's like, oh, we're going to send somebody else out. And it's like, you got to use them, new camera guy, never been in a crazy situation. Shop like us, dangerous, sparks, pointy things, that kind of thing. So it is a struggle, but we are really blessed to work with Defy. Check out any of their other shows if you like our show, because they do a really good job, and their goal isn't, I mean, of course they're a company, they're trying to make money, but they're really trying to pinpoint, you know, their specific target audience and give you guys what you guys want to see. That's why we make things based on requests. We don't, every once in a while Ilya might go, hey, you know, I love this, I really want to make this, and we push for it, but what are you doing? I see too many smiles, and I'm not being funny, so. All right, I'll shut up. Go ahead, Ilya.
Well, okay. Is there a walking mic here? No?
Here.
Yeah. Okay.
Here, I'll do it.
Damn it!
Okay, here's the
He's really pretty. He's very pretty.
So, right? Now, people are complaining there are runes on it now. See? Actually, in the series, the runes between the games in the series different, so I just signed my name in hiragana. So there. And in the series, the runes essentially mean who made it, and who made it is no mortal. So, but there are actually two Excaliburs. This one's mine. And the reason for that is we wanted a cosplayer for the episode. I even shipped Excalibur early to California to have the cosplayer. Didn't happen. Okay, well, I made the second one for myself, same exact way. It's mine now. So it's going to be at essentially every convention we go to.
I would just like to
Because
state that I made the handle. That's the prettiest part. It's blue. It's nice. It's wood. It's very nice shape. Very comfortable. I'm just saying. I mean, that's my favorite part.
Now,
Blade's all right.
we'd like to have objects shipped to us. It doesn't always happen. So in the future, be on the watch out. We might start making brother items from series that we made. For example, scissor blade, we might decide on our own to make the second one and just have it at convention. We might not.
Do it.
Okay, well, not everybody at once. Just a little bit of optimism. However, YouTube comments. In the YouTube comments, people always say, wow, real swords don't flex. Yes, they do. Real swords, blah, 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 big, cut through everything, blah, blah. I can stop a train with my katana. Right? Yeah, I'm not gonna, my brain can't contain the amount of stupidity because it cannot categorize itself, and something that is not categorizable is not understandable, and if it's nonsense, you can't understand it by definition. However, there's an interesting aspect to this. Fantasy weapons are fantasy. They are essentially digital in kinetic sculptures. They're sculptures because most of the animation right now is three-dimensional. Right? If an art object is three-dimensional, it's a sculpture. It's kinetic because it's moving. It's actually in a way interactive, especially if you're using it in a video game, because you are the player that's interacting with the sculpture. Now, the fact that it's digital means laws of physics don't really apply. Conservation of mass, conservation of momentum. If you play RPGs, you can contain a whole bunch of rocks in your inventory. Yeah, no. The Spetsnaz train with backpacks full of bricks, and those inventories contain more. Now, however, fantasy weapons are designed to inspire you, wow you. They're supposed to capture you in such a way that you play this video game instead of the next one. For example, I love anime. And the reason why I love anime is I love the design. Actually, the best way to win me to watch an anime is to look at the artwork. How people solve a specific aesthetic solution. Aesthetics sometimes even trumps ethics if you're in the medium of art. Right? We enjoy great art that bothers us, that shocks us. This is called abject art in modern art, right? And the reason why we enjoy it because it has aesthetic value. And we are wowed by items that cannot be done in real life. This is actually, in a way, for a sword maker, it's horrible. I love it, but it's horrible. And the only reason why it's horrible is the guard. Now, what the designers of the Fate Stay Night Excalibur did, they took a Japanese sword construction and built a Western sword. This, in the series, is the kashira. Essentially a cap that protects the wood. This is a habaki that has a double shoulder and the blade rests on it. Now, this is a horrible construction for Western swords. It's a good construction for Japanese swords because the Japanese sword is only the blade and not the fittings. The fittings are like the Sunday outfit, and each sword has several sets of them. Now, the Western sword comes complete. I don't have Avalon yet, I might. But Excalibur, Avalon is part of Excalibur. But it is impressive, especially when a little girl, saber, holds it. Why? Because it's big, it's powerful. All the lines are crisp on it.
It's a woman.
Conveys, shut up. It conveys knighthood, in a way, in the same way that the character conveys knighthood. In fact, in Fate Zero, the problem is the whole plot of Fate Zero revolves around the fact that all the... I'm not going to spoil anything. The entire... You can look at the plot as the interaction of the characters between each other rather than anything else. Right? In Fate Zero, the whole plot revolves around servants being summoned to masters with whom they're not compatible. People who watched it will say it's absolutely true. Right? While in Stay Night and Limited Blade Works, the master is actually compatible with their servants.
Some.
Yeah. But in Fate Zero, none of them except one. The bad one. Are compatible, right? Okay, so now that's the plot. So, and Excalibur conveys knighthood, the principles of Arthur made flash reality. At first they're invisible, then when the, what do you call it, noble phantasm is brought out, you finally see the blade. Okay, now, but here's a comparison, a more historical sword that Matt now owns. I made it.
I didn't know that. Anybody want a sword?
She wants the gates of Babylon, so she wants to grab all the swords she doesn't get to. No.
Very nice.
That. Now, I'm just not gonna, can everybody hear me? I'd rather not.
Yes.
I'll help. It's cool. I'll help. I help.
Okay, it's a running joke. Right. This is a historical sword, fairly small compared to fantasy swords. Why? Because small swords that are smaller are more effective for a person to use continuously, while big swords are more impressive. We have the exception of two-handed swords. I'm not going to address that in the moment. Right, this sword is fairly sharp. Right? And it's done for cutting demos when we cut tatami mats at events. So will this one be, by the way, soon. Now, I'd rather not use the mic. I like walking, okay? I like walking because a lot of my work involves standing. Walking is pretty great. So this is a saber. Anybody get the joke? That's right. I made it funny. I can do that. Yeah. So this is a saber. On horseback, it's a thrusting weapon. Actually, tachi on horseback should, in principle, be thrusting weapons. Looking at their geometry, in principle, we don't actually have good records on martial arts of the Heian period. Now, katanas are primarily foot weapons. That's why they're shorter than tachi and have less curve. On foot, sabers and any curved blade is a slashing weapon. Now, light. I can fight with it all day and not be tired. I need food, but I'm pretty good, well set. However, it doesn't really wow you. Ask the modern viewer who is used to megalithic structures, who used to Empire State Buildings. Absolute magnificent feats of engineering. No, it doesn't wow us. Those small things don't capture our imagination. That is why anime creators have swords like Rory Mercury's axe. Who watches Gabe? Yeah, that's right. I love that series. Yeah, it's impressive. In one of the episodes, a mortal person tries to pick it up, can't, breaks his back. Right? That moment is hilarious. But that's what wows us. A little person who's a demigod picks up a giant thing, and it's all powerful, violates all laws of physics. Thor, right? Even though the hammer is fairly small in the movie, it weighs a lot. It's made from a star. Why? That wows us. Because you have a moment when the star itself, the center, the hearth of life, and that's where life came from. The exploding stars create most of the heavy elements. So, right? Everybody knows science? Great! Science is great. The star comes down to Earth where a demigod wields it for the purpose of justice, right? That's essentially Thor. And the comic book in the movie is not the actual, Norse god. What else we have? Berserk, a giant sword, the 100-man slayer. We couldn't bring it, I'm sorry, it didn't fit in any wild cards, but we did. Yeah, that giant sword slays 100 men, or his dragon slayer sword that can kill dragons and is this wide, this big, completely unusable by an actual person, but our fantasy is designed to violate the laws of physics. The reason is, when a fantasy violates the laws of physics, our reason tries to make the two compatible. And that is the birthplace of science and engineering. How do you not violate the laws of physics, but trick them into doing something you want, space travel, that kind of stuff, right? The laws of physics say that you can't breathe underwater because you require oxygen. There's not enough oxygen there. Well, your reason helps you. It brings the oxygen underwater. Same thing happens with
Aquaman can.
Well,
Aquaman has good powers.
Yeah. Well, who thinks
But just-
Aquaman is the most popular and the awesomest superhero?
No.
Exactly. I got you there.
He's got a trident.
He doesn't-
Aquaman
but he doesn't have a
drowned.
sword.
Oregon Trail.
I got you there.
You wait.
Sound flipper. Go on. Done. Anyway, and that's kind of what we do. We're not great scientists, we're not great engineers, but we do a little bit of engineering. We have to know a little bit of science, how to make some of the weapons that are not manageable by a living human being come to life, even if for a brief moment, even if for like 10 minutes on YouTube that you see us do the demo, and then once in a while we bring them to convention. We have to come up with new ways of impressing the viewer how we actually made the weapon. After all, this can easily be plasma cut. Right? You've seen us plasma cut stuff. Yeah, that's those kind of boring. That's the decision process. Well, plasma cutting is boring. I love the series. I'd rather do something really cool. Got a bunch of medieval arrowheads, spearheads, and katana tips, and remelted them, making my own steel to make the blade. Right? That's better. And that's an actual process, because what happens is you heat up iron, and medieval weapons are usually iron when it's like disposable arrowheads and so on and so forth. You heat them up, they start melting slowly, and as they pass down the charcoal, which is carbon, they pick up some of the carbon, and once they go past the tier, where the air comes in, they settle. They leave the hot area and settle at the bottom of the forge, and you have steel. That steel is now very clean, so then comes the blacksmith, purifying the steel, removing all the crap out of it, and it is crap from the forge, old stuff, and making decent steel. The problem we found out, and actually I should have been more careful in reading the textbooks, on their actual textbooks, kind of, for that stuff, is that pure steel with barely any elements, like modern alloys do, is only water quenching, right? You can only quench it in water. It's very hard to do it in oil. It doesn't get hard enough. Right? That's why Japanese smiths quench only in water. It's just the nature of the beast.
And why do we usually not quench in water on man-at-arms?
We don't quench in water on man-at-arms because there's a tendency to crack. The best Japanese sword makers have, I think, 1 in 4 failure rate right now.
Yeah, we can't fail. If we fail, we lose an episode. If we lose an episode, we lose maybe our contract, and then you guys lose man-at-arms. So we try to lower the risk as much as possible, and the heat treat is definitely the highest risk point in sword making, period.
That's right. That's why Kill Bill Katana, people watch that episode, we quenched it in oil. Because if it breaks, all the time I spent before the film crew comes, gone. Gone, gone, gone. All the time on camera forging spent, gone. Right? We don't have a problem. So yeah, we do make compromises. Other compromises we make is, let's say, size. If it is simply unsafe for us to make something, we make the size smaller. Now that our big power hammer is running, we can make bigger stuff.
We made Diana bigger.
Yeah, we made Diana bigger bags. So actually, you know what happened with that?
I know.
He kept saying, no, make it as big as you can. All right? I can make as big as I can make something as big as I can, by definition, right? Even if it's this big. But no, we made it bigger. What happened? Yeah, we did the Elder Scrolls axe too big.
Not necessarily. People say we did that too big because we made basically a battle axe out of something that should have been a one-handed axe. Well, look at the guy who wields that in that game. He's not my size. He's definitely not his size. He's like him on my shoulder size. So, I mean, you know, there's some give and take there. There's been some requests for us to make the Voltron sword, which I want to do. I want to do as many 80s old school builds as possible. Well, we obviously can't make the Voltron sword for, giant Gundam to freaking use, you know what I mean? So we'll have to make it man size. We'll still make it stupid big.
Now that I've covered the part of the YouTube community who would think the katana is the best thing ever, or the gianter the sword, the more real it is, I purposefully used the wrong English, giant-er. I actually know English, I studied it for a while. So I'm going to cover the opposite phenomenon. People who tend to have never made anything in their life saying that something will kill you, because they have some sort of a misunderstanding of how things actually are. That is, you know how we make fantasy real? fantasy was already real before we were born. And I'm talking about armor. Right, I'm an armor, I want to give a little bit of armor talk because actually it helps cosplayers in a way. Thinking about it. There's the Ilya, the Man-at-Arms panel thing. There have been malicious rumors spread around that my fiance Kim Kardashian is a hobbit. And it is not true. In all seriousness. Has anybody read the article on boob armor? Anyway, it's a very popular article spread around saying that boob armor will kill you. That is absolutely wrong. Let me see. The panel. Here is, and the conversation goes the following way. Don't let anybody tell, because I'm an armor. Those articles are usually written by people who never made a suit of armor in their life. The issue is, the conversation goes the following way. Well, this is made to make women appear more sexy. Well, yes, it's fantasy. However, in the time where male eroticism was valued more than female, men would dress like that. And I'm talking about the Greeks, the guys who invented Western civilization as we know it. Here's an example of, I think this is in the Metropolitan. Is it up? And how do I move it over? I have no concept of how this works. Yes. Yes. Right? This chest makes Arnold Schwarzenegger inspired in his later years. Right? This was actually used by the Greeks. Right? The conversation goes the following. All right, that's fine, but this will kill you if you're using a spear. Well, no, because the Greeks primarily used spears in battle. That's the problem. So the boob armor, male chest, but boob, all applies. Oh, okay, well, you know, why would someone accent something that is not an essential part of the armor? Well, for the same reason as this little gem exists. Oh, I'm going to open it up, and I'll try it. I'll move it. How do I move it up? Ah, there you go. Like a beard. I actually had this conversation with someone who's not an armor.
He has a 2G phone.
Okay, like, why would someone accent something like a beard on their helmet? That's unessential. I had the conversation, then I sent that link to the person. Why? See, armor and weapons have always been designed to impress both your people around you, because you're supposed to communicate how much richer you are than your fellow knight or fellow hoplite. You're also supposed to communicate how impressive and strong and virile you are to the enemy, because you're supposed to dominate the enemy even before you right? True. Actually, if you look at medieval knights in the jousting period, they competed with each other with how much money they would spend on their armor. It was just like Mean Girls. I'm not joking, it was exactly like Mean Girls. Here is some armor that I'm making for a customer of mine. He's a jouster, Vincent Anthony. Sorry, Vincent, then you haven't gotten this yet. There's other stuff coming to it. Right? This is, when it's completed, going to be the nicest suit in his jousting troop. Why? Because he paid me to have the nicest suit in his troop. That actually was part of our contract. I told him, you give me the money and I will make armor that is nicer than this guy's armor, and that guy's armor, and that guy's armor. And guess what he said? All right! Well, essentially that's what creators of fantasy armor do. And this is very close to what you would see in a video game, right? With all the extra stuff, all the aesthetic. Remember, this would be polished. It would look like gold. An army, an entire battalion dressed like that, coming down the slopes of a mountain attacking you, with the rays of sun reflecting off of their golden armor, will look like an army of gods. And remember, we were then in the world where everybody believed in multiple gods, demigods, heroes walking around the earth, committing feats. Great whole army.
see your flight.
Oh, I see. I spotted the one who looks the wrong. Terribly embarrassed. Now, this doesn't stop in the. What? We have time. This doesn't stop in the Greek period. There it is, and it's not limited to Europe. Here's the helmet that was given as a gift to King Henry by Prince Maximilian. The hilarious part of this is, this helmet is actually a caricature of Emperor Maximilian. The Emperor Maximilian commissioned and sent to King Henry. So King Henry wore a trolling piece of armor, making fun of Maximilian's bad eyesight, hook nose, and a stubble. If you looked at, you Google it, stubble, missing teeth and all that stuff. That is trolling. Trolling each other all the time. All that stuff. Oh, what do we do with trolling nowadays? Such a big problem. Not a big problem, in that it was always a problem. People make fun of it. This is equivalent to a Bentley these days. Just this one piece is the price of a Bentley. And I have more. It's not only beards and noses and horns that would be already fantasized about and exaggerated. The actual armor that existed would be cod pieces. People who know cod pieces know what I'm talking about. This is not making enough panel. That's a hint. Now, and this is essentially the tradition within which we are trying to perform. How do other sword makers in doing ridiculous things? Even for the demos, we kind of try, but sometimes it doesn't work. Making ridiculous weapons, weapons that impress you. That's what the channel is called. Army. Right? So, now, I'm going
Oh, no, you didn't! Alright. No, we need to take a pause just for a second. If we're gonna go there, we're gonna start chanting man at arms, okay? We're gonna do this. Everybody, like man at arms, ready? 1, 2, 3. Man at arms! 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 Didn't work, but I enjoyed that. Alright, carry on. I got to say something on the mic.
Okay. Now, last example of the pictures I have prepared, and to show that all that exaggerated fantasy stuff is not only a product of the Western tradition. Here's a, where is he? Found it. Don't worry, I'm good. I'm figuring it out. I think it's 15th century at least, like that's how I categorize it as. But yes. That's a Tenko Mampo mask. Tenko are the demons who lived on a holy mountain and were great fighters. So the person wearing it is becoming the Tenko for their opponent. Yes, there's no practical use for a nose deafener, absolutely not. But armor and weapons, an arms race in psychological warfare as much as actual warfare. Right? Okay, now, I'm going to, at this moment, hand over part of the panel to Matt, and after that I'll be budging in and out, making fun jokes of him and trolling, because I always do that.
Oh, you're gonna
I actually do that more than I should. It's a character flaw on which I'm working.
Alright.
To perfect it.
Any relevant questions to all of whatever he just said? Yes, beard guy? Loud. Armor. He's the armor. We've done the Skyrim helmet. We did Batman Wolverine Gauntlet in the first season. We do love doing armor. We do. I love armor. I don't get to participate in a lot of those builds. I help out as much as possible. Problem with that is most armor builds take up his entire week. Sam, everybody remembers Sam. He's not on the show all that often because he's always running off doing stuff. But Sam's not around, so he's kind of our main guy forging blades and stuff. So if he's gonna be stuck on an armor build, we're gonna have more plasma cutting. We're gonna have me forge 1 or 2 blades, but we're not gonna have the high intense detail work that he does. Not only does he do the forging, he does a lot of the hand engraving, a lot of the final detail work. So there's a balance. We haven't had really good armor requests lately, so we haven't been super pressed about it. A lot of like people duplicates or like do this, do that. If something really catches our eye and time permits, we're gonna try to work it in. We haven't done any in a while, so maybe not this coming season, maybe the season after we'll work in some armor. Really, I don't want to speak for Ilya because he does most of the work, but yeah, I do anyway. He's been talking this whole time, so I'll speak for Ilya. For instance, like how we made Excalibur. It would have been our dream to not only make Excalibur's sword, the Excalibur sword, but to do Saber's armor as well. That's like a dream of mine, to have some ultra mega Man-at-Arms episodes where maybe we'll have to pre-make some of the armor ahead of the filming and then just show you some of it on camera, or maybe they'll do an exception and come out for a whole week and let us just focus on that. That's a dream of mine, and our contracts are being renewed currently, so I'm going to try to beg and plead and use some leverage to get some of those episodes in. So I hope that kind of answered your question. Yes, it's not out of the... We definitely want to do armor. We're going to do more armor, but the reason we aren't is we just have to balance things out, and right now his forging time and his detail work on some of these builds are more important than doing another armor build. And not only that, our producers are always like scared that the demo is gonna suck or something. Like when we made Link's Shield, we made Link's Shield, that demo was pretty fun, right? We threw cans at it and shot arrows at it, and people threw cans at me and freaking watermelons, and I'm dodging. So we have fun with it, and the helmet was fun. We did some cool demos of that. Another question? Maybe two more? Anybody? No? Yes?
The fly guy.
Right here? Yeah. Crotch gazer. Go ahead.
So you would say about the modern way of like having gold-plated assault rifles and all that is just an extension of the long tradition?
Yeah. Hell yeah. There are museums. Across any museum that contains weapons usually contains the best examples of those weapons the museum can get their hands on. And you can see fully gold-plated suits of armor, fully gold-plated weapons. Yeah, it's exactly that.
Another one, right here in the middle. Can't really hear you well.
You talked about how you worked on a lot of your armor and stuff like that. But has there ever been like a piece of armor or like a mask kind of very dramatic like this that you've done, or you really wanted to like had an idea for it, obviously really cool?
I'm gonna start it and let him answer that too. The way we kind of met Ilya is he did some HMB stuff like that, did some armor work, but
HMB is historical medieval battles in Europe. It's like cage fighting into submission, but in historically accurate armor and with steel swords.
Anyway, he did a lot of that stuff, and he was from Florida and moved to DC. Tony Swatton, original host of Man-at-Arms, used to come out to an annual event that we hosted at our shop and do some armor demonstrations. He canceled on us. So Carrie asked Ilya, hey, would you come do that? And the first thing he did was a really nice human face and steel for like HMB quality stuff. And when I saw him do that, I was like, can we keep him? Carrie was like, we really can't afford to like hire somebody else. I was like, can we freaking keep him? Like, he makes it look easy. We say that in the episodes far too often. It's not easy. I've done some armor work. It's been years since I have. He's super talented. He's gonna say he has struggled. He's gonna lie to you in a minute, but you pretty much, if you can picture it, if you can show him a picture, or if he can visualize it, he can make it in sheet metal.
That's true. But has anybody ever seen a Chinese painter paint a bird? You know how they do it in like 3 seconds and 2 brush strokes? You know why they can do that? Yeah, because they spend 50 years of their life practicing those 2 brush strokes. So when somebody makes something look easy, it's not. It's easy only because they spent last whatever amount of years making it easy. But it's hard. Armor is hard because this piece right here has to work exactly like the customer specified. It has to articulate when locked, this is the shield arm. So that's where the lance lands if the person is unfortunate. Cannot allow anything getting here. It has to fit the person, so I work with casts, so on and so forth. It is just like making the Phantom Blade, but making the entire suit function. Professional armors don't call their customers knights or fighters, they call them armor operators. Because armor is a machine built around you that works off your muscle to function right. Oh, you're trying to turn it on? Oh, okay, that's fine. Yeah. Now, the other thing with armor is it takes a long time. If you look at this, has more surface area, just this piece, than the sword. So if you can roughly break down, and cosplayers probably know this, that it takes X amount of hours per square inch of your costume, right? Yeah, you can just break it down like all costumes can be broken down like that. So this is more surface area than a sword, and it takes more time making it work. I, for example, want to build the following things. Urza's armor, 1. Saber's armor, 2. Gilgamesh's armor, 3. Make all the armors from that stupid series that actually ends up being better than I thought it would be. I wanted to pick a light series for myself, but it ended up being quite intense. The ambition of Oda Nobunaga. Because yeah, some people know it, other people don't. It's underappreciated, but watch 5 episodes and you'll get into it, whatever. Shut up. There's actually pretty good, intense moments there. Whatever. And when I watch anime, actually, I like in anime what I hate in live action. I love romance anime. Romantic comedies, love it. Love it, love it, love it. Shut up. Love it. In real life, or like live action, I don't like action movies. I think they're lazy. In anime, love action. Love action scenes. Exactly. Got it. And there's a good aesthetic argument for that, for my position. Why? Because when you look at Hollywood, the way they do action, they already use digital media to convey it. So it's already cartoonized. So it's removed from the medium which they use. In anime, the whole thing is a cartoon, so it fits naturally in there. The whole thing is a theater rather than a shot of what real world could be. No, it works better for me. And
are you still answering that guy's question?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Actually, terribly sorry. Next question, please. Oh, this guy, the
giant guy,
muscle guy.
Yeah, of our own design, you mean? Yeah, I mean, that would be great. We've had a few requests, hey, why don't you make the man-at-arms sword? Or like, hey, why don't you guys just make your preferred blah. We've had a couple instances like that, like when we did the zombie weapon challenge, we kind of did some of that. That episode could have been a little cooler, to be honest. I hate to say that. We kind of did that like the last 2 days. We all made up our thing really quick, but it was a lot of fun, and I think the weapons we made were pretty relevant. The Katar kind of punch dagger that John made was really cool looking. I wish he would have stopped before he put that whole giant cage on, because it was good enough with just the 2 side parts. But yeah, I think the thing about Man-at-Arms is, in order for an episode, this is getting a little beyond the show into some of the stuff you guys might not all be interested in, but in order for an episode to be really popular and successful to our production company, it needs to hit 1 million views and go beyond that as quick as possible. So there's a lot of with making Man-at-Arms. Yes, we make different things each time, but we've done so many episodes now, and Tony did so many episodes that it kind of becomes showing the same thing. So it's on us to try to do new methods, spice it up. Certain places like Gizmodo or, you know, websites that cover a lot of Man-at-Arms and different geek stuff might not get so impressed anymore, because even if it's like, wow, really cool, but hey, it's another Man-at-Arms episode. So we're gonna look into different ways to change up the format a little bit here and there. Now the format works. We hit 1 million views usually in a week, maybe a week and a half every episode. It's amazing, it's a gift, it's a blessing to be able to have such loyal fans to watch our episodes like that. But we are gonna mix up some different things. I can't really give away exactly what we're gonna do. I would like to do that. I would like to maybe have one every other season where it's like Maker's Choice, where we get to either choose a thing from an anime or something that our producers would normally say no to and do it anyway, or design our own thing, or, you know, the hybrids weren't very popular, but there are some kind of hybrids that we could do that are kind of cool. But that didn't really work the first season. It really pissed people off, so I don't really want to go back to that. But yeah, we're gonna look into doing some stuff, and because the show is as successful as it is, and the producers are trusting us more and more to do whatever we really want, we're gonna push. I mean, we're gonna push what we can do and what we can't do, and make things a little different here and there. I don't know. I'm kind of saying the same thing over and over, but yeah, we'll do some of that. Bruce.
Hey, were there any particular weaponsmiths or armorsmiths from a technical standpoint or historical standpoint or philosophical standpoint that you take inspiration from?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Filippo
tons.
Negroli, anybody with a smartphone can Google him now. They can do it. He's an Italian armor, makes fantastic stuff, actually.
Toy console song.
Right away. This was my next video now. He made them, gold plated everything. So, yeah, I take an inspiration from him. Then there are a bunch of Japanese sword makers that I really admire their work. Muramasa is one of them, for example, or the actual Masamune, not the video game one. That's sufficient. And then modern ones, Jesus Hernandez is one of the better katana makers on this coast. Love his work, great polisher, does pristine work. Walter Soros. Then a bunch of other armors too, all better than I am. A whole bunch of them in England, yeah. We never say that actually we are the best ones of what we do. There are plenty of people who are actually better than we are. They just didn't choose to do this because they're slower than we are.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. Now, and that's not making fun of someone. If someone has a liberty to take 2 months to make a sword and pay their bills that way, go ahead. It's just not easy to sell a $20,000 sword. It's not easy. So we make a lot of, $300 to $500 swords on a daily basis, and that's where we sell at the Renaissance Festival, stuff like that. A little bit more on like the question he said. Like when I was growing up, like Jody Sampson, the guy who made Conan the Barbarian swords, made a bunch of different stuff like that. Thought his work was awesome. Now I don't really like his work aesthetically anymore. It's like clunky, but the craftsmanship that went into him, the hollow grinds, the perfect hollow grinds on his blades and his guards and stuff, I still to this day look up to him. It's not easy. I do a lot of, mostly grinding, that's what I do. Freehand, I don't use jigs. He did a lot of freehand grinding. It looked like he had to have done it on a machine, but he didn't. Stuff like that. It's like he said, Jesus Hernandez, his attention to detail, big time. Even my brother growing up, things like that. Tony Swatton in some ways, look up to him. Like I said, when you progress as a craftsman, you don't develop a huge ego, which is a problem. In every artistic thing, there's gonna be that guy you look up to and you meet him and he's an asshole. I hate to say it that way, it's true. But if you can develop as a craftsman, stay level-headed, almost all those people, your taste might evolve past their aesthetics, but you can always look into the little things that they do, like the hollow grinds or like their engraving or inlay work, and say, hey, I don't like that piece they just made, but holy crap, that work was amazing. And we're blessed in this country, well, worldwide really, there's not too many sword makers, there's a lot of knife makers. And the high-end knife makers, I mean, sometimes they make $100,000 knife, that big. no joke. I mean, there's a lot of them. $10,000 for a knife that big, that's not even that uncommon if you go to a custom knife show. So some of that work, like Ilya, if anybody follows him on Facebook, every once in a while we get depressed, he posts something from like a Ukrainian maker that's just like absolutely far out. Every detail done, absolutely perfect.
Perfect.
And it's just like, I should just quit. Well, no, you shouldn't just quit. You should strive to be better, and sometimes in our specific business, we're not just making art. We're making products, because the products in the production line of our weapons and our armor fuel us to be able to, on the weekends, come in, or maybe Fridays come in and do some artistic stuff. So we're lucky to have a product line that allows us to practice. Like I enjoy doing a diamond grind on a sword. If you look at a cross section of a sword, if you cut this blade in half, this is a hexagonal grind. So it's got a flat, 2 bevels. I enjoy the nice diamond grind, distal taper on a blade, which means it's thinner at the point than it is at the shoulder. It gives it better flex, makes it move easier. I enjoy that stuff. I get to do maybe 1 or 2 of those a week. Most of the stuff I do is little teeny edge bevel grinds. Thanks, Dana.
The distal taper and the type of grind he refers to is if you cut the blade like that and look at it,
Yeah.
you will look like a grind. The diamond.
There's plenty of other I mean, I like the challenge of grinding, like a really nice blade. I don't get to do much of it. I mostly do production stuff, little edge grinds, leave them really blunt for guys, jousters and stuff to beat them together, or theatrical people on stage choreographed fights. They have to be safe. So like my talents are kind of wasted on that, but on the same time, I could be depressed and be like, oh, I'm not making nice stuff. But now when I go to make nice stuff, I ground 20 to 30 blades that, every week of my life for the last 17 years. So I'm developing a skill while making a product I don't want to make that's there for when I do have the time to make nice things. So there's a positive and a negative to this business. It's physically demanding, but practice makes perfect. I mean, no matter what you do in life, repetition. And when you go and you do it on camera, it's like, you're not even sweating. You're like, oh, I do this all day. In fact, on one of the latest episodes, which they cut out, I literally stare at the camera and I'm talking to him as I'm grinding and explaining how I don't even have to look at what I'm doing anymore. I can do it by feel. Now, it's being kind of cocky and silly, but it's the truth. Repetition. I do the same thing all day, passing blades. I can do it in my sleep now. So
there's an upside to that. All the mistakes you could have ever done, he done on the pieces he didn't care about. So now, if there's a piece he cares about, he doesn't have to make mistakes.
I still do though, sometimes. Let me get somebody in the back. I like the bunny ears. Yell. You.
Favorite sword fight in movie history?
In movie history?
Yeah.
Favorite sword in movie history? Whew. Sword fight. Oh man. Sword duel. Holy crap. As a fun one, I love the Kill Bill scene in the trailer where they're trying to draw the sword and it's like don't. That was fun. That was a fun one. Man, what do you think?
Mine is Craftsmanship, the flaming sword of fire. Any one of those.
The final fight, Princess Bride, I mean, that was good. By the way, I really want to make that rapier. I really want to make the rapier for Princess Bride. So, every video that comes out, if you guys want to see that, yes, Six Finger Man, yeah, gotta make that. Kill my father. I mean, we got the whole thing. We even know my brother, not Carrie, my older brother, Emery, he's a huge nerd. He does a lot of work. And I don't mean geek, I mean nerd. He does a lot of, in an awesome way, does a lot of work for NASA. If you guys are familiar with the L-Cross mission that launched and they shot a satellite and hit the moon, he was the lead software engineer on that. Through some of those contacts, he actually met some of the actors and stuff for The Princess Bride. So if they do let us do that episode one day, we could possibly get some really cool guys coming out to do the demo, maybe a choreographed fight that you had seen by the guys who did it. So I'd really like to do that. A couple more.
Man.
What?
Let's have some women talk.
Women.
Okay, so just as a silly question, I know you guys have made like loud swords and all that stuff. So do you ever have like a request that you're going to do and you're like, oh no, because you have to lift it? Like,
I'm gonna show you one.
Wait, don't leave.
And you guys might be a little confused when you see this because you might be looking for like the Dragon's Lair or something like that. It's not that. It doesn't look like it would be as heavy as it is. It's really freaking heavy, and
It sucks.
it's not just the heaviness.
It's dangerous.
For instance, put your hands down just a second. I'll call it. When we did Berserk, because the weight distribution on that is just a nice long thing. It was more about length than anything else. We could get it up, let it go, and gravity do the rest. And gravity do the rest. Hint. Anyway, on this specific piece that we're going to show you shortly, it's awkward and it has blades places you shouldn't have blades. So when you just would try to do that lift up thing, it's like so. The struggle was real. It is 5:29. What do you guys think? You want to cut questions for a little bit and see a little sneak peek? All right, we're not going to show the weapon first.
Kelly.
Don't say, oh, we're going to show you a little bit of the episode. You want to see the episode or you want to just see the weapon? Nobody's got to see this yet. It comes out on Monday. Okay, one thing. Everybody, including, well, this camera can face at us. Please do not take pictures of this. We could literally get in trouble with our production company. I'm not lying. We didn't get permission. We're just doing it. Definitely don't take video. That was just a rough cut of the episode, by the way. There will be some little bit more demo. But yeah, this really is heavy. Like I said, you can pick it. You can kind of sort of pick it up. But normally, like I said, swords you can get up and kind of drop and let it hit. But this back blade being
Sucks.
You'll see.
Oh, whoa.
Alright. So, be careful. Alright, go ahead. He's a big freaking dude, right? A lot bigger than me? Be very careful.
Whoa!
Smash something.
No.
See? So you see, he's struggling. I'm not lying. It's really heavy. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I love Halo. The first one that came out, the second one. I was that troll though. I would just like hide behind a pillar and wait and throw sticky nade. But Phil, the guy you saw, the big guy that we had in the demo, he started working with us again. He was the guy who worked with us like maybe 10 years ago. He's back now. But he's a big Halo fan. When he heard we were going to do this, he freaked out. I hope you guys like it. This freaking sucked to make. Like I said, John did a great job. Really proud of him. Yeah, I mean, it's Halo. It's awesome. Right?
Coming out this Monday.
Yeah, this Monday. We built last season of filming, but it is not the largest. It's just that there's some larger things coming. I guess you things are better balanced. Anyway,
10 minutes for a Q&A.
we got about 17 minutes left. A couple questions. Before we start taking questions, I want to say thank you to Anime USA. Awesome. We contacted them a little late in the game. They made room for us. They gave us a panel. Really, really grateful to everybody involved. The staff, super nice. It's a smaller convention, but we absolutely love being here. We'll definitely be here next year. Ilya's more of the anime person. I've only watched a few here and there, old school, like Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that. And then he got me into watching the Fate series, so I watched Fate Zero. Currently watching Unlimited Blade Work. So they're trying to convert me, and they're doing an okay job of it. I did used to watch like sci-fi on Saturdays. Remember back in the day when we were little? And yeah, I love those. But it's been a long time, so I'm getting back into the anime. I'm more of the video game, comic book guy. As you see, is actually my first time I've really done a cosplay other than historical stuff. So I did Wolverine just because that's my all-time favorite character when I was a kid. Grew up watching the cartoon, reading the comic books, all that stuff. But super grateful, very happy that I chose here to do my first cosplay. Seems like everybody here is like super nice. You guys, even all the attendees coming up talk to us. It's been super cool. Outfits are great. You guys look good every level. This guy's had his hand up forever, so I'm gonna ask you. Yeah, you. Right there. Yeah. Did you have a question? You just stretching?
I was gonna ask, are there any other conventions you guys are planning on going to soon?
We just did Otakon, which was awesome other than the freaking lines. We did KatsuCon before that. We'll probably do KatsuCon again. We really would like to do it again. That was our first convention as Man-at-Arms. I mean, I've done conventions my whole life, but that was our first Man-at-Arms convention. So we'd like to do Katsu again. That would be great. If they can get us in to do a panel that like kind of helps us. We don't when we come here and do this, nobody pays us. We don't sell anything. Like I even bought those T-shirts out of my own pocket to make sure that we had some cool stuff to give away. No, it's okay. But we literally just come connect with you guys and like don't hesitate. Come into the booth. Ask us questions, hit us up on Facebook. Sorry if we ignore some of the comments and some of the messages we get flooded. I mean, we get millions of views and we have 3.5 million subscribers on our channel. So can't get to everybody, but while you have the opportunity and you're here face to face, don't hesitate to ask us questions because we're literally here only for you, only to meet you guys and let you see what you want to see. If you don't care about us, that's absolutely fine. If you just care about a specific item, come pet the item, take a picture with it. No, I'm serious. Like, I don't care. Some people don't like us, whatever. Don't like me, I don't care. But I know you like a certain item we made. There's gonna be something in there. Like, you can say, oh, Ilya's an asshole. I miss Tony Swan, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, did you see Kill la Kill? Because that was a freaking awesome episode. Did you see Kill Bill? That was a freaking awesome episode. Did you see Excalibur? That was insane. So, he's an asshole, but... nah, he's awesome.
I don't care.
Also, before we take questions, I will say, I'm gonna kiss his butt for a second. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've only been working with Ilya for now like 3.5 years, something like that. He's elevated. He pushes me. A lot of times we come in on the weekends on our own time and do a lot of forging and stuff because I don't get to do any forging. He's pushed me. A lot of times I would just forge a blade and not forge the bevels, just go in and grind the bevels. He's forcing me to do more of that. It's been a pleasure working with him. He drives my skills. I hope I drive some of his as well. So, we really make a good team. The rest of the team too, I mean, Sam's a handful. We don't always get along, but he's got a lot of skills and really, he offers his expertise. He is classically trained blacksmith. Carrie, he's my brother, what can I say? Sometimes I hate him, sometimes I love him. He's taught me a lot. He gives us the shop. Even on the worst days when you don't want to deal with Carrie, he gives us the shop and the tools and the opportunity to explore, new skill sets and practice the ones we already have. So everybody involved, even Lauren and I butt heads here and there, but everybody offers something, and it's a real pleasure working with everybody. So we got roughly 15 minutes for questions. Let's go back there. I see you. Yep, you.
Have you ever thought about doing lessons in blacksmithing?
Yeah, Sam this week is in, I think he's in New York. Next week he's doing a sword class, or like a beginner sword class. He teaches a lot of stuff like that. We have an event every March that we have mostly already... Screw you, Kelly. Mostly blacksmiths and people who are already into it come out for that. It is an expensive event because we burn through like several thousand pounds of charcoal because we do all kinds of different smelts from not just the Japanese stuff you've seen him do. We do some like some Viking-esque stuff and some Persian style wounds, crucible steels. Yeah. So anyway, yes, we do, and Ilya and I might be doing some like maybe 2 people classes where we just kind of more. We don't really want to go teach 25 people at a time, but we might do some of that. My brother doesn't really like to have people on the property. It's also his home, so. We're gonna expand at some point. And we're gonna look into doing some close 1-on-1, maybe 2-on-2 kind of things.
I would like to redo Setharos possibly. Just redo it.
The right way.
Yeah.
You should do it. I'm gonna hesitate. I really wanted to do a Hylian shield. I mean, I freaking begged for that like several seasons, and that was actually a really weird episode where I was in Florida Keys on kind of vacation, and I came back 2 days into filming, and they had started, and the way I thought it was gonna get made was that he knocked that thing out of the park. I didn't really get to do much. But holy crap, for the first time I held that, even before it was painted, I was just like, ah. That was awesome. I want to do another relevant Star Wars build. I really wanted to do it in time for the movie. I grew up Star Wars. This is my bedtime story. I need to go to sleep, boom, 5 minutes, I hear that, dude, I'm out before the credits stop rolling. So I'd like a good relevant Star Wars build. If you guys have ideas, I'd love to hear them. We've already thought like different helmets, Boba Fett, helmet, Vader, samurai helmet, stuff like that. But weapon-wise, we're kind of like stumped. People want us to do the vibro blades, but it might be a little boring. I don't know. I want to do Chewbacca's crossbow. Maybe shoot some neon tubes instead of lasers. I mean, we could come up with something fun, you know. So I don't know. I haven't really thought about my dream build in a while. But the shield was my dream build because I mean, I played the original Zelda more than there can't be too many people on this earth who played. And if you played the original back in the day, you know the struggle was real. Because you get halfway through that freaking game, all of a sudden there was no more save game on there. You blow the thing out, stick back in, start over. I mean, I did that constantly. Late for school almost every day because of it. Who? You?
Yeah, she had
Horns.
her hand up.
Yes. I love the engineered builds that like take a lot of moving and all the things you got to figure out. Those have been the ones that have screwed us like on time, like the Phantom Blade and stuff like that. There's so much going on there. Even Gunblade, one that hasn't even come out that I can't tell you about. There's those builds. It's not. I don't want to place blame on a specific maker, but. When they're out of our hands completely, it's scary. So, and we really are in the forge, and then I'm in the grinding the whole time. So, yes, I mean, one of the ones that I want to make that even he doesn't want me to make is I want to do like Ivy's chainswords, like you know what I mean. So, or one. There's a couple swords in different anime, different games.
I think
that
there's
come
no
apart,
safe
like,
way to demo it.
There's no safe way to demo it.
Just
so I might
not-
get like a full chainmail suit when I do that demo. But,
Maybe.
I want to figure out some stuff. Yes, there will be more engineering builds. Yes, they scale the crap out of me.
Well,
Next, hold on,
is-
we don't have much time. Don't talk.
Wow.
Speaking too much.
One was a suggestion for Star Wars build, kind of a base or meteor hammer. How does the Death Star are different than
Death Star. Yeah, and that's some things. I mean, that's kind of where we did the hybrids and stuff the first season. That's kind of what they were pushing us to. Like they really wanted us to do like a Super Mario mace, like a turtle shell kind of thing. And like we were really scared about that. Like, wow, you're really gonna mess with the fans. We're just gonna we're not even combining two weapons in that. We're just making something up. But we've been pretty successful. Fans don't, give us so much hate now, just blind hate anyway. We might have some leeway to do some stuff like that, maybe. I mean, people have said Death Star. What was the second half?
do you ever, like, Will Turner style stuff? Like, do you ever train with the weapons that you make?
Turner. I am Will Turner. I don't know if you know that. No. Yeah, a little bit. Him more so than me. He does a lot of the classical stuff. Most of the stuff I make, even the high-end stuff, like I just finished 2 Damascus swords last week that have been in the process for two years, some of them, and literally the day I finished them, a customer took it home. So I don't really even get to hold them other than for a quick photo, put them in a box and ship them out to a Renaissance festival. But he does make himself armor and swords, and yes, he does use them and keeps some. I haven't made myself anything for a while. I made, you know, the little X's on my Wolverine and my belt buckle. That's about the only things I've made myself in a long time. I made myself a Bollock dagger, but I sold that last week too. Next question, right here in the middle.
Any hopes for a fully metallic bow, kind of did 1 year one from Skyrim?
No comment. Stay tuned. Real soon. Yeah.
What was like your favorite build, either on-screen or off-screen?
For me, like I said, like I love the Hylian shield, but as far as the build goes, my brother was kind of scared making some of our builds too complex initially because we didn't know if we'd be able to finish all this stuff in time the first season or two. The one in my head that sticks out where we stepped it up to the next level, and then now it's hard to keep stepping things up, but we stepped it up to this level making the scissor blade. And from there, you know, all of a sudden it was like, well, we did that, so why don't we try smelting our own steel? My brother's like, oh my God, we're not gonna have time. Well, we did it. And it's like, where to go from there? But for me, scissor blade was kind of like the beginning of a new era for Reforged. So that one sticks out in my mind. How about you?
Well, I like traditional stuff, so I think Kill Bill was the thing for me because it was the one time we got to do something that's like essentially historically accurate. It's a katana. No matter, you know, no ridiculousness. You get to keep as close as you can within the format and tradition. So that was it. We don't get many opportunities to do something that's like, oh wow.
That was awesome. You know? I love that. He knew he was going to smelt the steel the way he did and do a katana build traditional as possible. And it was kind of, I don't want to say it was my choice, but it was kind of down to me kind of picking which one it would be. Some people wanted Michonne, but like and we all love, I mean, we both watch Walking Dead. But she states in that show she found it at like a mall. Like it wasn't ever anything, didn't have a good backstory. So like I was a huge Kill Bill fan, and my ex-fiance and I watched it. She was way more of a fan than I was. And like making that sword kind of put a lot of things in the past for me to rest. And if you know, ex-fiance kind of crap. So that one was awesome too. I mean that was just, I pretty much just kind of assisted him on that, but that was awesome to watch. That is completely legit. People say, no, you must have done this, that. No, he did it the way you do it. He did it better and did it more intricate than most katana makers that say they do it traditional these days do. I mean, he killed it. We got time for a couple more? Not really, but let's do it anyway. Purple.
So for the double helix blade that you guys did for Majora's Mask, so in terms of coming up with how to make that, how difficult of a process was that?
Well, okay.
It should have been very difficult, but it ended up being.
It wasn't that bad.
It just burked it.
Here's the thing. It shouldn't. I mean, yes, it should have worked. There should have been some complications. I mean, the grinding sucked, but the forging. I probably shouldn't say this. That's one that Tony said he would never make. So that's kind of why we took that challenge. And yes, we could have just plasma cut the shape and then ground kind of a fake overlap. But we were like, we can forge this. My brother was like, no, we're plasma. No, Ilya, we can forge this. And we talked to him.
I put my foot down. I said, no, we forged it.
I mean, we did I forged one half, he did the other. We combined them. It just worked. It was a little wonky. It all came true in the grind. That was awesome. Sometimes I forget about that. I didn't really play, I'll be honest, I didn't really play Majora's Mask. My good friend did. My friend did, and I watched. I mean, you know, that's how big of a gamer I am. So half the time I say I play games, I'm just sitting there watching someone else play a game. Like, dude, do this. You know. Anyway, so that was really cool. That was a fun one. And because Tony said he would never do it, we thought we would be like, hey, you know, we'll do it. But he might have ended up doing it if he continued doing the show too. Who knows? Probably not the way we did it though, because I don't think anybody would even have imagined that. A couple more. Right here.
Are there any materials that you guys haven't gotten to work with on the show that you would like to?
Yes.
Haven't done anything in Woots yet.
Yeah, we have not.
Crucible
one or
steel?
two wounds.
That would be fun. And, you know, there's a risk there because you, at any point in time during that forging, you can't bully that metal. There's no such thing as you can't bully a lot of the metals we work with, but you really can't bully crucible steel. Right to the very last, like before you quench the blade, you could lose it. So we are going to do that. I can't tell you what we're going to do it for. You will see us do that. There's a build that we did a whole lot of it in silk that you guys haven't, it hasn't come out yet. So I don't want to give it away, but I mean, we get to work with some crazy materials, and we do try to, each season, at least throw in one new material or process or both. So we're trying.
This just sounds like a better and better season every time you mention it.
This season that's coming out, I'm pretty proud of. Assassin's Creed that came out last week, that was part of this, and it got jammed before a couple of them. There's another monster build other than Halo that's coming out that I really liked, and then there's a couple fun ones, and even one that we filmed a long time ago that keeps getting bumped back that was kind of fun and shows the struggles. We had a couple failures on that build, and not only the forging but some of the casting, and it's just like, oh. So it shows you, we left those in. Instead of cutting the episode where you didn't see the failures, we left some of them in to show you the struggle. Some people want to see like some of the more realistic stuff. 1 minute! Who's got one?
Okay, well,
Go ahead.
I guess
One.
bunny ears while we're packing.
Go ahead.
Other than the wrist blades, what one piece of the Predator's arsenal and or armor would you like to do?
Man.
Whole thing, why not?
Well, the cool thing is, I'm going to tell you that I'm not telling anyone else. I ordered, for last season, it didn't come, a xenomorph, like full-size xenomorph head filled with 9 liters of green goo. So yes, I really want to make something relevant to kill it. But I don't know, man. Predator, their spear is cool. I mean, all their weapons like retract and do crazy stuff. I mean, I would like to do the mask, but you know, Predator, I loved Predator. Predator versus Aliens, that was all, some of them sucked, but whatever, I still watched them. So I'm looking forward, I love Prometheus, looking forward to the new movies, definitely. It's going to be awesome, I think. It's back in the original hands of the guy that started it, so hopefully that goes on. Thanks, guys. You guys are awesome. Appreciate it. Keep commenting, relevant stuff. You know, take some pictures. If you guys like ever post any pictures of this or anything else, or share them on Instagram, tag it Man in Arms. We see it. I interact with as many people as possible.
If you want them at a convention, let them know. Let the organizers know to invite them.
And we're on Facebook, Baltimore Knife. Baltimore Knife and Sword. Look us up. Like the page. We post every day. We post 1 or 2 new photos and stuff like that. So appreciate you guys coming out. We'll be here all day today and tomorrow. Stop by the booth and thanks.